This one's probably a bit of a bittersweet cabinet for a lot of Star Wars collectors. This was the build-up, this was the hype in the late 90s. The Phantom Menace, here it was, Star Wars back on the big screen again, and people collected the product from this movie and this toy line ferociously. As we know, the movie didn't live up to expectations, but in honesty, I don't think any movie ever could have. The expectations were just so ridiculously high. But yeah, this stuff, which was so sought after when it first came out, you can see those 1995 Toy World stickers, and this is back in like 99. Yeah, so this was expensive upon its first release, there's no question of that. And I can remember these figures going down in Australia as low at retail as like $2.50 and $2.95 at places like Target and Grace Brothers Myer back in the day. So it was kind of like the pinnacle of the toy line, the Star Wars toy line, in terms of like mass exposure, but a lot of people say it hurt the line in a way as well. And these days it's also another thing that we don't see is these lines that are specific to the films. Now it's all vintage collection, Black Series, so to see one film merchandise like this is just not something we see anymore. When we move over into this cabinet, the Hasbro stuff went with the red and black theme, whereas the Micro Machines by Galoob went with this blue theme for the episode 1 releases. So we had the Micro Machines, and so down the side, some of the pod races, for instance, and the actual pod racing, the Buntareve set up, which was a great set. It didn't come out till later, so a lot of people didn't have it. There's quite a few vintage ring-ins here as well, and some that I think would get most vintage fans pretty excited, like a Manaman and Barada over there, and a Tusken hanging out in the back. Camped on the dune turns with his rifle waiting for Anakin. So yeah, we've got a lot going on in this display. Now that's a great repurpose of a classic land speeder, most of which ended up in that condition. But yeah, the episode 1 Micro Machines line had these die-cast vehicles. It had the regular Micro Machines like we had here, and then it had an action fleet, which was a bit bigger, a bit detailed, figures that could bend and had arms that moved. But at the end of the day, they all suffered the same fate. It was just overexposure, and sadly, it was some of those later releases were like incredible, had really good ideas, really good execution, and just saw such a limited release to no release as well. So yeah, a really, really interesting part of the Star Wars saga in terms of collecting and the impact on the collector's market in these two cabinets.